the thugs outside because the Democratic mayor of Washington, D.C., it's another Democrat that's not believing in law and order. And, you know, we give Washington, D.C. a lot of money to run it. But they don't do a good job of running it, the mayor. She doesn't run anything. And these incredible people from all over the country, all over the world that were there last night, they walked out to a bunch of thugs. And that wasn't, remember this, that wasn't friendly protesters. They were thugs. They were thugs.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a look at the latest breaking news from across the country and the globe. But first, we're going to ask the question, what's more dangerous to our republic? A virus that the CDC has come out and said may be less lethal than the flu? Or dangerous, violent criminals committing random acts of violence with the intention of intimidating the population at large and terrorizing us all? We're going to talk about that, plus YouTube censoring one of the latest videos on the channel here, so you guys are going to stick around to hear that and a whole lot more. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. You guys know the drill. Come here, click the big red subscribe button, then hit that bell, and make sure you hit that all button so you get notified when all of these videos get posted, and stick around. At the end of this video, we're going to do our segment that we do at the end of every video called God's Grace is Greater, and today we're going to look at a verse out of the book of James talking about the power of helping others turn away from sin. And I can't stress how important that is for this video, especially given what we're going to talk about here today. So I hope you guys stick around at the end for that. Now, we go over here to the latest Q post, 4627 is where we left off. And of course, we haven't had any new posts. Also, quick reminder, this video is brought to you in part by Brave Browser. If you guys want a great product for free, it's an internet browser, just like Google Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, whatever you're using. It works on Mac, Linux, Windows, and it works on your desktop, your laptop, or your smartphone, and you can get it for free. Check out this product. It's called the Brave Browser. It blocks the ads. It's got a built-in firewall and VPN, and when you download it today, using the link in the description of this video, they'll make a contribution to this channel, and so it's a win-win. You get an amazing product, which I use and I think is great, so I'm encouraging you to check it out, and they'll make a contribution, so it's a win-win. Go check out the Brave Browser using the link in the description below. But, you know, look, it's self-explanatory. The last post we went over talked about how the Democrats are the party of Satan and evil, and the Republicans are the party of God and Jesus Christ, and it's like, look, it's not even like one of those things, because I know Democrats who love Jesus Christ and are good people, but I'm talking about the head of this party, the people who run the show. They're advocating for things that are just evil, right? And we know that, and we call that out. But when we call that out, we get attacked by their minions, and their minions are many in number. You know, Satan has a lot of demons in this world, and it seems as though they're all being activated right now. And why? Well, because we've caught them. They were trying to take over this country. They were trying to destroy it from within. They've infiltrated the highest levels of government. They've enacted these disgusting child trafficking, organized crime cartels, which have in turn been used to blackmail and leverage, you know, all of this dirt and disgusting evil against the people who are running the system at large. So what we're doing right now is we're standing up to that, right? Because as Q says, one party discusses God, the other party discusses darkness. The one party discusses or promotes God, one party eliminates God. And that's all you really need to know, right? They are the great deceivers. And again, if you're a Democrat out there who just happens to be listening and you have an open mind, I'm more than willing to sit down with you. I have members of my family who are I would say liberal Democrats, but they're genuinely good people. And they're not, and there's so many like you out there, or like that out there, I should say, who don't embrace this evil, that it gets amplified through social media and the fake news. So we have to remember that and keep that in context to everything that we're talking about here, because we are the party that is inclusive, that wants to bring people in. We want to have debate. We want to have discussion, but we want to do it in a fair way. And we want to do it in a constitutionally, effective way, where we're fighting not only for our right to debate one another, but our right to have disagreements without resorting to violence, without resorting to rioting and looting and criminality and intimidation and terrorism, right? Which is what we see on a regular basis. But if you talk about that, you're going to get attacked by the hardcore leftists who have ingrained themselves in big tech. For me, you know, look, this is one of my latest videos here. Guess what? For the first time in my entire channel's history, I've had one of my videos categorized as being inappropriate or offensive and having a age restriction on it, meaning I guess you have to be 18 or older to watch it, which to me is ridiculous. It's crazy. It's just another part of the eventual lawsuit that will be coming against Twitter or YouTube, I think, in the future, when we talk about like restriction on freedom of speech, censorship, and just the complete annihilation, or the violation, I should say, of the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, where these people have become not, you know, an open speech platform as they originally promised to be, but they've completely violated the intent of the Section 230 protection clause, which gives them immunity for the content posted on their platform. And now they're using it to politically attack people they disagree with by censoring their content and limiting it. I mean, it is an insane world. And they've done this to Dennis Prager. They've done this to other people. But when I saw this, I got this email tonight, and that's why I figured I'd make an episode, because I've been trying, maybe if you guys have noticed, to take weekends off, because I've been going for 3 years straight now, every single day. And, you know, I've decided to maybe take some time to be with my family and enjoy the weekends. But sometimes, if it's necessary, I'll always be posting, and I'll always be here to share content with you. And we do have a big episode, but I have to start here because, you know, these people are the worst kind of Orwellian fascist type, underhanded, seedy, manipulative tyrants that you could ever imagine in big tech. And they have their little sycophants, their little SJW brigade of people who support the violent terrorist, racist mob of Black Lives Matter and Antifa, who go and attack us. And I think actually I'm being targeted by Antifa and BLM, because I think they're the ones who are flagging my videos, right? Because they're a part of a violent Marxist, communist, racist organization, and because I have the courage to go on my platform and call it for how it is and call it how I see it, they're going to attack us, and they're going to do this kind of stuff, and they have their little minions working behind the scenes to help facilitate it, and it is what it is. You know, I look, I take it with a grain of salt, because I put all my life to God. I put everything to God. Jesus Christ is my Savior. God is is the person I follow, and the Holy Spirit is in me, and I know He's in you, and we follow Jesus Christ, and we know. I mean, look what Nero did to the Christians. I mean, just the most awful and horrific things. Look at different people, like the different kings of Israel who persecuted people who followed God. I mean, this evil has existed way before our time, and we're just the next iteration of it, which means we're going to have to fight against demonic evil that exists. People who glorify pornography and heinous crimes and violence and just debauchery, depravity, immorality, they love it. They watch movies about it. They revel in it. They live a life of sick satanic evil. And I really feel bad for them. I feel bad for these people, because, and that's what we're going to talk about at the end in this God's Grace is Greater segment. We're going to talk about what it means to help those people find Jesus Christ, because they need to understand that all this sick satanic evil that they revel in here on this world means nothing. What will end up happening is, in the long run, when you're dead and I'm dead and we're all dead, because we all do die, we all do have mortality, we do end up dying in the end, believe it or not, that what we've done on this earth matters. And even though they've been brainwashed by the satanic evil that exists to think that what they're doing is right, I'm here to tell you that it's wrong. So, you know, they can come after us. It's fine. You know, we're going to keep doing it no matter what, because we're not going to be silenced. We're not going to be put down. This whole country is based on religious freedom, and the fact that these tyrants in Silicon Valley, who are the weakest, most pathetic people, who, honestly have been deceived by the devil and are we can help change them, hopefully, if we can show them the error of their ways. But I'm just saying that, this really, it upsets me, but it's just an indicator of the evil that we're up against. So with that being said, let's get into some of the news stories tonight. Major protest in Portland, a counter protest to the Antifa thugs and BLM terrorists, where you have patriots in this massive, I think it was 2,000 or more with maybe 5,000 people, and 2,000 cars with 5,000 people who drove into Portland tonight. And, basically we're just showing that they're not going to be intimidated. They're not going to be, suppressed. They're not going to be terrorized by these violent thugs who have shut down a major city in their area where they can't even take their families to go and visit, to shop, or go eat at a restaurant, because you have delusional, mentally deranged, narcissistic sociopaths involved in these psychotically driven, violent extremist movements committing acts of violence and extreme terror, domestic terror, inside of our major cities. So, this is just to say, this is America. There's freedom of speech, there's freedom of religion, there's freedom, the Second Amendment and everything. It's like, we have the right to go and walk down a city street without being violently harassed and accosted by these thugs. So I thought that was really good, but it turned out very dark. Andy No reporting here, a person was shot fatally in Portland tonight. Now, there's not a lot of reports out other than they have confirmed that they are deceased, and it seems as though this was some kind of shooting that came from these protests. But if you look at what's happening here across the country, you have BLM leaders here, right, in Washington, D.C., calling for burning down the White House and violently attacking senators. And I mean, this is the video. I'm not going to play it on the channel here because I'm not going to forward their message, but if you watch this video, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below, you'll hear very clearly that they talk about burning down the White House and attacking senators and attacking individuals who support President Trump. So who are the real violent people? How does CNN get away with calling this peaceful? It's because they're the same demonic, satanic scum who are involved in covering up the crimes of the deep state, who tried to get our president impeached, the crimes of themselves in helping abet this violent racist terrorism. And these people are driven by Satan, in my humble opinion. And of course, you can say what you want. It's freedom of speech, freedom of religion. I'm going to stand by that, as these big tech social media companies think they can censor that, because in my humble opinion, it's complete discrimination. It's a complete violation of my civil liberties and the civil liberties of all you out there listening when they censor this kind of stuff, because we're talking about our religious freedom, and then on top of that, our actual freedom. I voted for President Trump. I support the President of the United States. The fact that these people are calling openly for violence is disgusting. And the only thing you need to know about Twitter and what's going on when you go on Twitter, it's all a part of an IIA, an internet activities warfare that's going on. This was all, exposed by that documentary Shadow Net or whatever that was with Millie Weaver and them. But they're weaponizing these useful idiots, as I said, these mentally deranged, narcissistic sociopaths for the most part, and they're putting them in the streets. And then you look at like Twitter, and they have promoted by Lucifer right here, literally in the what's happening section of the Twitter page here. It says promoted by Lucifer. So they are satanic evil. And then when you say, oh, Craig, you're just being dramatic, you're not, whatever. They literally have promoted by Lucifer in their trending section. These people are satanically driven demons from hell. And I'm not exaggerating, because as you see, they promote Lucifer. Who would do that? Well, I guess Jack Dorsey and his satanic cult that he has running over at Twitter, right? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But getting into other things here, you have NPR coming out and saying, police declare Portland protests a riot, but this definition could be rooted in racism. So remember what they do to you when they know that you are calling things out exactly how they are. They call you a racist. They call you a white supremacist. They're the masters of projection, because they're the racists. The funniest thing to me, I mean, the saddest, funniest, most terrifying, whatever you want to call it, the worst part to me is that these people openly call you a racist as they attack people for the color of their skin, as they accuse people of having a privilege for being a certain skin color, as they declare that they will only fund and support people of a certain race through their racist organizations. I mean, what did Martin Luther King say? He didn't say we should only support black people. We should only, be in support of things that help black people. He said, judge people not based on the color of their skin, but the content of their character. And these people have desecrated the memory of Martin Luther King, and they should be ashamed of themselves for being the outright racist that they are. And if I get in trouble for saying the truth, then so be it. I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about the truth. I'm worried about defending this country. I'm worried about standing up for what is right. And we should be all thinking the exact same way. This is America. We don't live in, Great Britain or Australia or any of these other countries where they don't believe in freedom of speech. We have freedom of speech. We won a revolution against tyrants. And today we have the same generationally wealthy families trying to impose their, tyranny on us again with this thought policing and this politically correct garbage and this whole racist movement that's come out of nowhere right ahead of an election, right? For political reasons, obviously. So it's disgusting, but we have to talk about it. As the lawyer of the accused Kenneth shooter breaks down Kyle Rittenhouse's case for self-defense. Well, let's hear it. It says, quote, "This was not a serious investigation," Pierce said in a statement released early Friday. This is Kenneth's, Kyle Rittenhouse's lawyer. Rather, after learning Kyle may have had conservative political viewpoints, they immediately saw him as a convenient target who they could use as a scapegoat to distract from the Jacob Blake shooting and the government's abject failure to ensure basic law and order to citizens. And I couldn't have said it better myself. That's because it seems as though when you talk about Democrat politicians, Democrat district attorneys, the Soros-appointed district attorneys, the people who are the useful idiots for the Democratic Party, they come in and they take the path of least resistance because they're weak and they're pathetic and they have no backbones or spines, and they just want to deceive and manipulate as many people as they can to keep the attention away from themselves and their abject failures. So, yeah, just thought that was important. As the Maryland Governor Larry Hogan, his office has fired an employee who supported Kyle Rittenhouse. Yep, freedom of speech, right, guys? That's exactly the world we live in. Minnesota Democrat mayors are endorsing President Donald Trump now because they say Biden did nothing for the working class, and it couldn't be more true. I'll leave links to all these stories if you want to read about it. But here's another story I want to talk about. So the CDC has come out now. This is very important, right, in understanding COVID-19. They've come out and they've said that for 6% of the deaths, COVID-19 was the only cause mentioned, right? So all the other deaths of the 153,000 deaths were comorbidities, meaning people had pre-existing conditions or other illnesses that went along with it. So you're telling me that a virus, that if you're a healthy person, that this virus only was leading to the death of 6% of the 150,000. That's under 10,000, I think, around 10,000. So that would make it seem as though this virus on its own, right, if you take out the comorbidities, is about as lethal as the flu, maybe less. But we've shut down our entire economy. You have to wear a face mask. You're under house arrest. We have no freedoms. The Constitution has been violated 1,000 different ways by little tyrants, little pathetic, weak, loser tyrants in their Democrat stronghold cities and states. And yeah, I think that's something that's worth noting, at least. And remember, the law of the land is very specific in the Constitution when it says that, I'll read this right here. The general misconception is that any statute passed by legislators bearing the appearance of law constitutes the law of the land. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and any statute to be valid must be in agreement. It is possible for a law which violates the Constitution to be valid. This is succinctly stated as follows. All laws which are repugnant to the Constitution are null and void. So remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that specific quote from the reference case there, because it is everything. This is what the face mask mandates are about. This is what the lockdowns are all about. These are completely repugnant to the Constitution. Therefore, in my opinion, they should be null and void. So that's just my opinion. So I thought I'd talk about that. As we see, U.S. Marshals find 25 missing kids in Northeast Ohio, including one in Mansfield. So they have this story coming out here where you have all of these children are part of this operation being found that were a part of, human trafficking and or prostitution, right? So we're saving kids every day. They go, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. Well, it's happening right here. And it's also happening in Australia, it seems here, where you have major police operation in Western Australia has uncovered a sex ring where you have 11 people being arrested. I think you have over 100 and something counts, or maybe 200 counts as far as crimes go. And this is happening across the world. And it's, and every time you hear the fake news say that, QAnon is just about, this satanic movement, or people who think that the satanic globalists have taken over and they're pedophiles, just remember these reports. And I've done dozens of these reports with hundreds, if not thousands of children saved and hundreds, if not thousands of predators, sex traffickers taken off the streets. But let the fake news keep not reporting on it and pretending like it doesn't exist and telling you that you're a crazy conspiracy theorist for wanting to help save children who are the victims of the most heinous and depraved evil that you can imagine. Yeah, just think about that. As we have here, Schiff and Pelosi livid after the intel community has ditched the manipulated election briefings for written updates. Now, this is ingenious. It's a genius move by John Ratcliffe, who has said now that the U.S. intel agencies will be pulling the plug on in-person congressional briefings on election security and will instead be providing written updates ahead of November. You know why? Because these manipulators, these criminal, treasonous, traitor manipulators like Pelosi and Schiff, take the words of our intelligence community when they go and brief them, and in some cases they have their own little plants in these organizations, and they manipulate those words, and they turn around and they tell the public blatant lies. And John Ratcliffe has just put a stop to it by giving them definitively exact written statements that they cannot manipulate. And they'll still try to, and they're going to feign their outrage now saying, oh no, it's going to be President Trump's going to steal the election. Well, you know what? Let me tell you what. You know who's going to steal the election? People like this, who have come out and openly confessed of their own voter fraud and how they worked with the Democrats to become master fixers of elections. Right? Here is a report by the New York Post, and this is by John Levine here. It talks about confessions of a voter fraud. It says, I was a master at fixing mail-in ballots. And it says here, I want to read some of the story to you. It says, top Democrat operative says voter fraud, especially with mail-in ballots, is no myth. And he knows this because he's been doing it on a grand scale for decades. It says mail-in ballots have become the latest flashpoint in the 2020 elections. While President Trump and the GOP warn of widespread manipulation of the absentee vote that will swell with COVID polling restrictions, many Democrats and their media allies have dismissed such concerns as unfounded. But the political insider who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he fears prosecution, of course, coward, says fraud is more the rule than the exception. His dirty work has taken him through the weeds of municipal and federal elections in Patterson, Atlantic City, Camden, Newark, Hoboken, and Hudson County, and his fingerprints can be found in local legislative, mayoral, and congressional races across the Garden State. Some of the biggest names and highest office holders in New Jersey have benefited from his tricks, according to the campaign records the Post reviewed. Quote, an election that is swayed by 500 votes to 1,000 votes, it can make a difference, the tipster said. It could be enough to flip states. The whistleblower, whose identity, rap sheet, and long history working as a consultant to various campaigns were confirmed by the Post, says he not only changed ballots himself over the years, but led teams of fraudsters and mentored at least 20 operatives in New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, a critical 2020 swing state. Think about that. Think about that, right? And then when you hear that with this story about Schiff and Pelosi and how they're so mad about this election interference and all that, it all makes sense. They're minions. They're minions who are involved in this fraud, and mail-in voting fraud are being exposed as the criminal, treasonous traitors to this country they are. And I know right now that President Trump and his team are working tirelessly day and night to expose this, but we, the people, have to stand up and expose it. And I want to tell you how. I'm going to give you a little inside, baseball here. If you want to expose this, if you want to stop this, get involved with your election. Go find your county website or your city or municipality or whatever, your website that exists. You can just Google it right now, whatever county you're in, whatever municipality, whatever your voting system is, and volunteer or sign up to become an election official on election day. That's how we stop this. We need to get in person, on the ground, and we have to be there as the votes are coming in. And they're still going to try to steal it, in my opinion, with this mail-in voting fraud. And they're still going to use COVID as the excuse. And if you don't believe me, here's President Trump in his own words.
And then they're going to play the game that we're not patriotic.
Right.
Yeah. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election.
Right.
They're using COVID to defraud the American people, all of our people, of a fair and free election. And we can't do that.
So they heard President Trump, in his own words, explain it better than I could. And that's straight from the President of the United States, who I trust a heck of a lot more than I trust the big tech tyrants and the fake news liars and the corrupt politicians in D.C., the swamp politicians. So, take it with a grain of salt. But that's where we're going to go ahead and leave it. A few more things. Remember, come here, watch these last videos, share them on your social media. This is the one that's been age restricted, so I don't know. There's not much you can do about that, except understand that YouTube's being run by these tyrants. But also, leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything. Also, you can find me over here on Twitter at JustinFormed. I'm also on Twitter at informed_news. And you can find the backup channel here on BitChute.com/JustinFormedTalk. And I'm also on Parler at JustinFormedTalk. Plus, you can check out the official website for JustinFormed Talk, JustinFormedNews.com. And also, I hope you guys are going to come down to the American Priority Conference. It's being held this October, and it's going to be incredible. It's going to be the October 8th through 12th in Miami at Trump National. Sign up. Use the coupon code JustinFormedNews to get $20 or $45 off your tickets, and you can book your hotel and accommodation. And I hope you guys go check out the conference, and I hope to see you there. Also, if you want to help support this channel, I have a Patreon set up, patreon.com/JustinFormedTalk, crowdfunding website, monthly donation. Your support keeps this channel alive. Check that out if you're interested in making a monthly donation. But if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, I also have a GoFundMe set up, so you can go check that out as well to help out the channel. But now, before we go, we do a segment at the end called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today, I want to share this verse, and it's a powerful verse, and it pertains to everything we talked about today, right? Because as much as there are people out there who are never going to change, right, who are always going to embrace this darkness and this evil, we have to hold out hope for people to come back to Christ, to realize the wrong ways that they've gone on, and to help them come back to that light that is Jesus Christ and his love. And I share a verse with you out of the book of James, chapter 5, verse 19 through 20, because it's very powerful and important. I'm going to read it to you here, and then we're going to talk about it. It says, "My brothers and sisters, if any among you strays from the truth, and someone turns him back, he should know that whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save his life from death and cover a multitude of sins." And those are powerful words that I live by, because I know that I've been lost before. I've been there where I wasn't looking to God in everything I did. I didn't put God first above everything else. And when I came to my lowest point, God pulled me back. He pulled me out of the fiery depths that I was heading toward. And he showed me, he said, "Craig, my son, turn your life around, help others, and you will have this blessing that you can't imagine." And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how it was going to come, but lo and behold, God did come through in just the way he had promised, just as it says here that whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save his life from death and cover a multitude of sin. So not only can you help save another person's life by bringing them to Jesus Christ if they are lost or lonely or just falling away from the faith, but it covers a multitude of sin, meaning none of us are perfect. And if we want to help become better in God's eyes, we have to help others. So that's my message to you. As easy as it is to say that we should be, fighting this hatred with more hatred, we can't do that. Romans 12:21, be not conquered by evil, rather conquer evil with good. And that's what we have to do. As hard as that is, as tough as it is, we have to put God first. We have to help sinners come back to God and Jesus Christ. And we have to do it by conquering the evil that they embrace with the good that we know is right. So that's my message to every one of you out there. And I thank you for watching this episode. Remember to share that with your family, your friends, your loved ones, and just people you meet on the street or people you disagree with. Put that message out there into the world, and I guarantee you're going to help others find their way back to Jesus Christ. And I have to start doing it harder myself, because it's very easy to get wrapped up in the day-to-day struggle that is the existence in life where you have such evil that has become so powerful in this world. But God is far more powerful than any of it, and Jesus Christ is more powerful than any of it, and the Holy Spirit is more powerful, and they all exist within us, and we just have to ask them to help us and call on them. So that's my message to you. Remember, hit that subscribe button if you haven't, hit that bell. Also, hit the like button. Hit it, smash it, punch it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's it for me, though. Thanks for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.